Buenas and half a day to our listeners on Guam and in the CNMI. It's now time for Total Health right here on Joy FM Radio, where your questions get answered by health professionals. If you have any health-related questions, we would love to hear from you. Call your questions and comments in at 472-1111 or text or WhatsApp 686-9999. If you're in the CNMI, please call 323-1113. Welcome everybody to Total Health.
Hi and welcome to Total Health Live. My name is Rosetrina, and in studio today we have Elena Taneva, nurse practitioner, and today we're talking about mountaineering and her experience climbing Mount Everest and how that ties into perseverance and not giving up. Welcome, Elena.
Oh, Rosie, I really like that description. Actually, I was really wondering how I can title it, because mountaineering, it's not a healthy, it's not a safe hobby. And so how do I connect mountaineering with health? But actually, yes, you're right. It does require quite a lot of endurance. It does require quite a lot of resilience. And you can't do that. You can't just get up out of your couch where you have been watching, TV and just go and climb it up. So, yes, we're going to talk about mountaineering. And before you say, oh, that doesn't apply to me, I don't really need to listen to that radio show, maybe you can find some interesting lessons and morals out of that story. Because I also never thought in my life I'm going to love climbing once a year, one of the highest peaks in the world. When I say climbing, I'm talking about a little bit above the base camp. I'm not talking to the very peak. It is a very expensive hobby, and of course you need to be sponsored and have an expedition in order for you to do that. And climbing high altitude, actually it's incompatible with a human life. When you get close to 29,000 feet, 26 and above 1,000 feet, it is really not healthy. Once you get to the 8,000 meters, what we will say 246,000 feet, when you get to that altitude, you run to the peak. You run with all you can, get to the peak, and you don't stay long there, and you come down if you want to really have a good story to say. It's not compatible with human life. We are not designed to live that high. We are not designed to live underwater. We are not designed to live in high altitudes. But we're designed to live somewhere between, and we can learn, to be content in every state that we can be. I'm very passionate about the topic, and honestly, today I'm pouring my soul, my heart. I'm sharing those things. I didn't have an opportunity anywhere to share them. But people stopped me and they said, hey, I heard that you went to Mount Everest, and then I heard you went to K2, the second highest peak in the world. If you wonder where K2 is, it is in Pakistan. It's part of the Karakoram range. It's not Himalaya. It is part of the Karakoram range. It's a different mountain, but they one next to each other. And and I am about training myself to do in a year time Aconcagua, which is the highest peak in South America. It's going to be brutal, and I'm going to be climbing even higher than what I have done so far. And somebody will say, why would you do that? Who really likes things like that? Why would you put your life at risk? I understand, diving. I understand diving with sharks. I understand things like that. But mountaineering, there's so many dangers. You can lose your life easily. Why would that be something that you would like doing? Well, let's start this way. Not everybody has that as a dream. Everybody has different dreams. Maybe you have a dream as big as Mount Everest, or maybe not. I see many of my patients, they say, all that I want is to pay my car. And that's fine. Everybody has different dreams, and God has put in our hearts different aspirations, different skills, different admirations, and you might like to do just one thing in your life, or you might like to be like me, lost in billions of things, and everything sounds more interesting and more interesting. And it is important to decide what type of a dream you have. If your dream is to climb a mountain, then you have to assess that, because we know many people have lost their lives trying to conquer great mountains. It is very, very sad, Rosie, when we got to, before base camp, there was a place in Himalaya, in, Mount Everest area. It is painful to see so many graves, so many, just marking of people that have been there, just somebody to remember them. And honestly, when you lose your life, it doesn't ask you which country you're from, how much you trained, who sponsored you, what were your aspirations. It was very painful to me to see that actually many people have very big dreams in their lives, and the dreams are just great, but they either go and accomplish them, but then they die, or they die on the way. And that made me really think about the reason of life. Like, why would you do something like that? Would just one time climbing be enough? Some people climb twice, 3 times. I met a man that he climbed 8 times. And when I asked him, wow, what makes you climb 8 times? He said, the money. They pay me good money. So, okay, everybody has a different motivation. But many times when we have our dreams, they can be great, they can be big, and but we don't go prepared. Or if we go prepared, maybe somewhere on the way we become a little bit more confident. And the moment you become overconfident, oh, I've done that, I've been there, I've seen that, oh, I have done greater things, and then it becomes the dangerous side. Because human nature, for some reason, we try to do the next thing. Okay, now I'm gonna climb Lam Lam, or I'm gonna climb Nimitz Hills. Okay, that's great. I haven't heard anybody saying, "Hey, tomorrow I'm gonna climb Nimitz Hills," but that would be a very good exercise if people do in Guam. Just walk around Nimitz Hills and then come down. Or if you want to bike it, it's pretty challenging, but I highly encourage you. Or then the next day you say, oh, I want to climb Lam Lam. Oh, that's incredible. It's 1,300 feet, 406 meters. That it's incredible. It's great, to climb to the top, because we know, and we're very proud of that. If you get to the top of Lam Lam, you're higher than Mount Everest in a way, because from the Mariana Trench, it's like more than 34,000 feet, and you don't have to have difficulties breathing, because Lam Lam is quite achievable. And if you haven't done that, and you were born in Guam, or you just came from another island or another place, and you're in Guam, you need to do the Lam Lam. That's like a minimum that you need to do. People actually ask me, how do you train for those mountains when you're in Guam? And it's true, Guam is not the best, preparation site, just because we don't have those altitudes. But I have been on every single trail, every single trek, you can say, every single hike that Guam has to offer, and every weekend just going somewhere, getting lost in the beautiful Guam and enjoying it. So if you have a dream of a Lam Lam, that's incredible. If you have a dream of Nimitz Hill, that is incredible too. But you might have a dream of climbing Mount Everest.
Thank you, Elena, and thank you as well to our listeners. That's the music. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to a break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the break.
Want to make an impact on people's lives? Want to encourage believers who are hurting? Do you want to challenge people to follow God with all their hearts? Then become part of our family of supporters. If you'd like to give a gift and help keep this station going strong, your support not only provides you with quality Christian radio, but also others who need to hear this vital ministry. Get in touch today, and thanks for your support. Joy FM, family-friendly radio
at joyfmradio.net.
Si Dieu es Moasi, and thanks for listening to Total Health on Joy FM. We want to hear from you. Call in with your health-related questions at 472-1111. In Guam or in the CNMI, the number to call is 323-1113. Text or WhatsApp us at 686-9999. And now, back to the show.
Hi, and welcome back to Total Health Live. My name is Rosetrina, and in the studio today we have Elena Taneva. Just to recap, today we're talking about mountaineering and climbing Mount Everest and how this correlates to not giving up.
Yes, it does. And as I'm saying, everybody has different dreams, and that is good. Did you know that the man at Hillary, the first man that climbed Mount Everest with his Sherpa, I need to say, he wasn't alone. He did it with his teammate when they climbed for the first time Mount Everest. You think that was enough for them? You think, okay, they had a dream, to conquer the highest mountain in the world. Once they got to the top, they looked at the other peaks and they said, oh, I want to climb this one. Oh, I want to climb this one. It never ends. We humans, we always want. We are always on to the next thing. And many times when we are lost chasing the next thing, this is how people lose their life, basically. Oh, I want to do that, and I want to stretch a little bit, and then nothing happens. You're like, oh, then I can do that, and then I can do it more, and I can do more. Unfortunately, there is no way for us to know how much is too much, how much you can do a little bit more. At some point, that's it. But it is very important to consider several things if you want to achieve a dream, maybe as big as Mount Everest in general. Yes, so when at Hillary reached, he looked at another peak and he said, I want to do Manaslu, another peak that it is from Mount Everest. And he started going back and he was thinking how he's going to prepare, again himself to go back to that. It's just never ending. The human desire just never stops. And, well, I didn't think I am going to get into something like that. Now I can't stop, because I'm learning so many things. It's good physically. Of course, we know hiking is very good physically. There are so many benefits. They say adventure before dementia, or if you want to push and, not get into dementia, you have to keep on doing interesting, adventurous things that will keep you occupied, your body and mind and soul. And I found mountaineering challenging me on all those levels. Do we like challenging ourselves or not? Do we prefer to stay safe, or do we want to come outside of our comfort zone? I came to a conclusion that I don't want to have a comfort zone. I'm sure I do, but I think it's pretty big, and that's why I scare many people that they say, oh, wow, how can you live so adventurously? But the bigger your comfort zone is, the more problems you can solve, the better coping skills you can have. And maybe there will be a problem that for somebody else that you can easily solve it because you have explored that, you have seen that, you have touched that, you have seen it before, you have heard somebody telling you something. And there are many benefits of doing mountaineering, to the point that now it's so contagious. Not only I went to K2, which is a beautiful mountain. They said the most beautiful mountain in the world. But then also, now I want to do Aconcagua, and then the list will never end. The woman that climbed for the first time Mount Everest, she was Japanese. Her dream was to climb every single mountain in the world, like the highest mountain in every country.
That's incredible.
It's incredible. It's not enough. She was the first woman. She did Mount Everest by herself.
She didn't have a guide, or
she didn't have a
anybody
guide
to go with. Oh,
she,
wow.
She didn't have a guide. She did it by herself. And actually, she was very upset that at some point there were some markings that weren't that were there, and they weren't even written in the map. And she got very upset because there is one place that everybody is very concerned of crossing, and then that's called the Khumbu Falls. So Khumbu Falls is like an ice river. It's like ice blocks flowing down, and so you never know where you're gonna step, that you're gonna drop straight into the water, and how strong the snow is going to be in order to really sustain you.
Okay.
So this is the most dangerous part.
Mm-hmm.
And she had to walk through it. At some point, she couldn't go forward. She couldn't go backward. Everything, whatever she was doing was dangerous. And
So
she-
the only safe spot was where she was standing, is what you're saying.
Right,
Okay.
correct.
Okay,
And
please
it was
continue.
it was a miracle that she was able to make it. She was very upset, but I mean, she really wanted to do it.
Mm-hmm.
She did it, and that wasn't enough. Then she kept on going to every single country, and she got to 80 countries before she passed away.
Wow.
She climbed 80 mountains, and she was pretty strong. She was pretty healthy. Unfortunately, she dies from gastric cancer. You never
Mhm.
know. You know, we never know. But surely, by living your life to the full, you kind of push that. Your end zone, end day. You kind of prolong your life by living healthier.
It
And I-
also, sorry, I just want to say that it also sounds like she lived a life that she was very fulfilled in, just because she kept doing what she wanted to do.
Exactly. She was
Yeah.
so inspired by doing that. And Rosie, it's inspirational. I have to
Mhm.
tell you, the people you meet on the way is just incredible. Everybody's like they have in their mind that like they want to conquer, they want to see, they want to touch, they want to smell, they want to be there, they want to be present, they want to bring good memories. And most of those people, to get to that level, they have already experienced quite a lot in life. So the conversations were incredible. They say that there are 4 rules to get to Mount Everest. I think this is what really motivated me to climb mountains in my leadership class in Loma Linda. The professor taught us about the four rules of Mount Everest. And so I'll start with rule number 1. It says, if you want to go up, you need to get up. You can't be just sitting and thinking that the dream is going to be fulfilled. Whatever your dream is, you have to get up and do something about it. Get up and say, I want to do it. I want to accomplish it. No matter what your dream is, small or as big as Mount Everest. In order for you to go up, you need to get up. Get up first. And then when you're determined and decided that you would like to do that, then you need to grow up. In order for you to go up, you need to grow up. It is important for us to grow ourselves to our dream. Maybe if we don't have, the capacity of accomplish our dream, maybe we can meet people that have accomplished it. Maybe we can talk to those people. Maybe they can give us some ideas how we can accomplish that. Growing up, it means it does require some training. I did train every day at 5:15, CrossFit gym training strenuously, just preparing myself mentally for endurance. And I believe that was a pretty successful strategy. And then hiking once a week prepared me. I think I was pretty well physically prepared to get to, above base camp. And of course, there is another component to it. There is also altitude challenge. Because you might be very good on the surface level, but when you start going up the hill and then the oxygen becomes less and less available, everybody starts struggling and everybody starts experiencing different symptoms. We see the local population there, they're really accustomed to it. It doesn't really bother them. This is their ambient, their environment. But for us that we have never, especially for me coming from sea level, going straight to those high altitudes, that was very, very challenging. And by now I have done it several times, and I know when I start getting the headaches, it's usually around 3,000 meters. And you start having those headaches, and then more frequently headaches, and doesn't matter how often you take some painkillers, the headaches are coming back. So we breathe on our surface right now here, 21% of oxygen. But as you're climbing up, that decreases and decreases and decreases. And getting to base camp, it goes like close to 8% of oxygen. So you're kind of halving the oxygen that you're breathing right now. On the top of Mount Everest is just 6%. Like,
Wow.
yeah, it's like
So it's even less, like it's
less
less than
that.
1/3, right?
Yeah, like one quarter of what you're breathing. This is what it is, like the oxygen availability there affects people. Some people, I mean, there's so many people that already have climbed without any equipment, have climbed without oxygen. Yeah, one of the guys I really admire, um, he climbed he climbed Mount Everest in 23 hours. He just went in and back
Mm-hmm.
with no oxygen, just like that.
In 23 hours, so he went up and then came back
Yeah.
down, no oxygen. Wow.
No oxygen, just like that.
I wonder how long he prepared for that.
Oh, I mean, he is one of the most experienced guys in the world. He is incredible. He not only did that, he did the other 14 peaks, 8,000er peaks. He is Italian. His name sounds German. But he not only did that, he crossed Antarctica by himself. Like, talking about challenges, like things that we have never ever thought about it. He crossed Antarctica by himself. He didn't want sled dogs. He didn't want any equipment. Just crossed through that big vast
That's quite the
icy
challenge.
thing.
Wow.
He did it. Then he crossed the same way Greenland. It's like, just he is a great guy. In my eyes, he is the one that I really admire. But that's not everybody's cup of tea. He has been divorced 3 times because, I mean, wives are realizing he loves the mountains more, and he would just take a challenge to the extreme, and he would just keep on conquering and conquering and conquering. And when he looks back, you can say, wow, what an incredible life. But it has come with some cost. So he did learn how to grow himself. I remember one of the times when we were about to climb above the base camp. We were already at the base camp, and then the next morning we had to climb a hill that it is like very parallel to Mount Everest, because you can't see Mount Everest from the base camp. You see a different peak. And so for you to see Mount Everest, you have to climb another peak, and from there you can see it. And that was quite of a challenge. We were 16 of us. 3 a.m. in the morning, we had to wake up and climb it. And so 3 a.m. in the morning, 16 of us, you can imagine we are already having very low oxygenation level. What's the normal oxygenation level? We learned how to check our saturation because of COVID. It needs to be above 96. For people that are smokers, we allow lower levels, like 92, even 90. Some people, 88 is acceptable for them, those that have a chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. But over there, my saturation was 74.
I can see why you had headaches.
Oh, yeah, by all means. The
Mhm.
headaches are there. They're guaranteed. Like, if you want to go on a mountaineering hike, there is a guarantee you're going to have a headache. And first time when I checked on the first day my saturation, and it was 88, I said, what? My saturation is 88? How I'm going to manage, till the end? There is no way. And me being a cardiovascular, professional, I thought this is incompatible with life, until I was challenged. And they said, we don't do anything until your saturation is 68, and we'll helicopter you if it is 59.
Wow. Okay. That's the music. So we're going to go ahead and go to a break for today. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this quick break. Oh, also, if you have a question and you want to call it in on Guam, go ahead and give us a call at 671-472-1111. That's 671-472-1111. In the CNMI, call us at 670-323-1113. That's 670-323-1113. You can also send us a message via text or WhatsApp at 671-686-9999. That's 671-686-9999. It's free from the CNMI. Stay tuned. Total Health Live will be right back after this short break.
Buzz Collins courtside, along with the best color commentator in the business, Ben Stevens.
Thanks, Buzz. Tonight's event defines the meaning of team.
We talked to the head coach earlier today. He confirmed that everyone plays a role on his team. No one is less important.
And no showboating.
That's right, Ben.
We've seen some great players really step up tonight.
That includes both veterans and new recruits.
Join the team. Play a part. We're listener supported. Joy FM.
Did you see that?
Oh, support that never gets old.
Welcome back. You're listening to Total Health on Joy FM. Call in with your health-related questions to 472-1111 in Guam. If you live in the CNMI, we want to hear from you too. Call 323-1113 or text or WhatsApp us at 686-9999. And now, here's more Total Health.
Hi, and welcome back to Total Health Live. If you're just joining us, we're about halfway through the program for today. And we have Elena Taneva, nurse practitioner, in the studio with us, and she's talking about mountaineering, her experience climbing Mount Everest, and also what it has to do with not giving up. Before we continue what we were talking about, could you recap real quick the 4 steps?
Oh, yeah, I haven't gotten there. I just had the first 2. So in order for you to learn to go up in everything, in life or mountaineering, you have to get up first. And then second step is you need to grow up. You need to grow yourself to that level. If you have a dream as big as Mount Everest, you have to grow up to get to that level. Ask people, read books of people that have already accomplished it, check what it takes. And so I was telling you how 16 of us who are supposed to climb Kalapatar, which is a very high hill from which you can see Mount Everest very clearly on a good day, because of course you can never predict the weather. And there are only 2 periods that you can climb Mount Everest, the rest of the year, and sometime in October and June, May, June, the rest of the year you can't. The conditions would not allow you. So there is just a small window. And we were at that time in May, and we were going up, 16 of us, and one by one, everybody started quitting. They're like, this is too much. I have a headache. I already took 4 medications. It feels awful. One of the guys wanted to propose to his girlfriend, but she couldn't make it. It's not easy. It's just very, very challenging. It really challenges you to the core. And I remember everybody was going, and they were like, one English guy said, no, I don't want to do it. Another Irish girl, she was from the army, and she said, I quit. She said, actually, I'm very proud of myself for quitting. When I'm in the army, I have no saying. They say, you have to go. And I don't like it, but I have to go. Now, I don't like it, and I can quit. How amazing is to quit. So when she quit, I said, where am I going? Where am I going? Most of the people quit, and we were like 4 of us. And I was the least trained, the least athletic person. I didn't think I have what it takes. But I kept on going. We had 2 guides that were like, come on, hurry up. And on top of that, it was so dark, you couldn't see anything. It was a big, thick fog. And they said, we might get to the top and we might not see Mount Everest. And so when they said that, many of the people just gave up. And I kept on going because it's very difficult for me. It's not a prideful thing, but I just don't like quitting. I'm not saying I always don't quit. I don't like quitting. So I kept on going. And one of the guides was like, come on, Elena, move on. We have to get there. But it was a steep hill going for 2 hours straight, but like steep. And at some point I said, what do you eat? Like, what do you eat? Like, how come you have so much energy that I don't have that energy 3 a.m. in the morning? What do you eat? He said, lentils. I said, oh, wow. He said, lentils and rice. This is their diet. Lentils and rice. If there is some vegetable, if there is some fruit, that's it. And since then, every time I need energy, I know it's going to be a strenuous, difficult day, or there is a marathon, triathlon, something like that, lentils. Lentils is my food of preference. I'm kind of a bias because I saw how energetic they were. And I told him, I could not do it so fast. It's very important to learn to pace yourself. So there is no way I could do that. I am going to slow down. You carry on. You go on. I will just be the slowest one. If I see it. But I put my foot down. I said, I'm going to pace myself. And 4 of us, we made it to the top of that Kalapatar mountain. But I have to tell you, Rosie, I have never doubted myself to that extent. Climbing up straight hill, no oxygen, being so tired, being so, thirsty, everything. Headache, constant headache. And still you have to keep on going. And I started, all my fears came back. All my challenges in my life, all my failures overwhelmed me. I was walking in the fog of doubt. And I was like, what are you thinking? You're nobody. You think you can conquer this. So many people have given up. You think you're better than them. And like all the fears ever overwhelmed me. It was an agony. Not only physically, it was a mental agony for an hour. It was very painful. I have never felt so desperate in my life. Very overwhelmed, thinking, reminding myself of all the failures, because when you're lacking oxygen, like you can't really think straight, and all the negativity just overwhelms you. But I kept on going. I kept on going with my slow pace, kept on pushing. I will never forget the moment I saw a little bit of the contour of Mount Everest. Just a contour of that, because it was still foggy. But I can see, and as the sun was coming up, you can see something is out there. And I kept on going. It became better and better. And at some point, we passed the clouds. And so the clouds went down, and there was a beautiful sun. And you can see the view. It was so beautiful. It was so incredible. I forgot I have a headache. I forgot I haven't slept. The whole night, you can't sleep. When you can't breathe, you can't sleep anymore. Haven't slept, and it paid off. The perseverance of climbing up paid off the whole pain. I was so ecstatic, took thousands of pictures, and I said, wow, Lord, this is the most beautiful view I have ever seen. The peak itself. And I can't wait to see you coming in the clouds of glory.
Amen.
I know all of us, we have to face that moment of darkness. All our fears and doubts will overwhelm us. But if we continue going forward, pacing ourselves with God's help, we'll be able to witness the glory of God. After I've had that experience, now I really want to keep on repeating it because it's so beautiful. Before we got a question, I love that question. I wish I have the answer though. It says, where do we draw the line at taking foolish chances with our lives? Well, I wish we have that wisdom and we are that smart that we can draw the line. There are many things that can tell us what it is reasonable, what is not reasonable. But what's reasonable for you might not be reasonable for me. For example, reasonable for you is not to go and dive with the tiger sharks. But reasonable for me is to go and see those beautiful creatures at least once in life. There is no such thing. But we can ask the Lord of the Bible. He will give us wisdom generously. God has stopped me on many occasions. I'm not going to tell you how many times God has stopped me. And I'm glad He drew the line for me. I just surrendered myself into His hands. And I said, okay, Lord, if that's your will. But on the other hand, we can keep on pushing our luck. Some people just keep on pushing. Maybe me as well. Pushing our luck, how much further I can go. And then the question is, the caller that call said that they used to be a skydivers, and then they realized that God does not want them to do that. It is really, a skydiver can save a life, if it is somebody that is hanging from a building and you can help. I mean, it depends what the purpose is and, what the risks are involved behind. If you just do it for the pleasure, okay, but you're taking a higher risk. I did it once because I really wanted to experience it, and I believe that was the best thing I've ever done in my life. The rush of adrenaline so much, and as you're falling down and you're like doing all the different maneuvers in the air, it's just a phenomenal experience. I am not going to do it over and over and over again because I do realize that I'm pushing my luck by doing that. There are great people that once the parachute didn't open or they were ejected from an airplane and they didn't have parachutes, and that was the end. I experienced it once. I pushed my boundaries once. I'm not saying everybody needs to do that. And if you think you're discouraged by my talk today, feeling that you have to set more strict boundaries around safety, that's fine. Everybody is different. But I stopped doing it because I don't want to push my luck. I believe God has a mission for me, and I want to be faithful to that mission. I see many parents don't want to do those things. Maybe they were, let's say, wild when they were younger, but once you have kids, you feel responsible. And, if I keep on doing things like that, I might disappear, and my children will be left, because of that. So you weigh your risks, and you pray to God. It is certainly not easy. And when we were climbing K2, I didn't get to the top. Of course, those are very expensive hobbies. K2, the permit, it's 14,000. For the permit also for, I'm sorry, it's much less, but for Mount Everest, it's 14,000. And then you need a Sherpa guide, and that's at least 50,000. And if you want to make it safe, you need to have 2 Sherpas. Somebody, needs to,
Sorry, I just want to ask, is this in US dollars, as in 14,000
US?
Okay.
I'm talking about US dollars.
Yeah, that's expensive.
Yeah, it becomes close to 100,000 if you really want to conquer Mount Everest, safely.
Mm-hmm.
You also have to consider that you have to climb up and you carry your own stuff. You carry your own excrements as well, because if everybody keeps on doing that,
it's just going to freeze out there.
No, but it's just very dirty. And because it's so difficult, some of them like just rush to the top, and then they leave whatever they have to get up to the top. And there were 300 bodies. They retrieved 100 of them. There are at least 200 bodies still right there. Their bodies are there. So you have to carry on your own, excrements and urine as well. And so it becomes heavy, carrying food, carrying oxygen tanks. It's not an easy thing. And so we are continuing with the 4 rules of Mount Everest. So if you have a dream as big as Mount Everest, you have to, in order to go up, you need to get up. In order to go up, you need to grow up. In order to go up, you need to gather up. The higher the challenge, you need a team. The need for a team elevates. You cannot go to Mount Everest without a team. You need a team. You need a leader. You need somebody that has done it before, that you can safely trust their guidance. You can't climb Mount Everest and have a team, a Disneyland team. You cannot do that. You have to surround yourself with people that have the same dream, people that have studied the same thing. You read a lot of books before you decide to go on a challenge like that. And as the caller was asking, when do you draw the line? You inform yourself. You inform yourself how much is dangerous, what can happen, what are the mistakes that have happened in the past. The best way you can learn things is really what happened, what mistakes have happened, and how can I prevent them or avoid them. You inform yourself, you grow yourself up, and you gather up. There is no way you can do something so big and challenging without a team. Many times we think we can be, as individuals, we can do our own stuff. But if you are dreaming big, you can't do it alone. You need people with you.
Thank you, Elena. And thank you to our listeners as well. That's the music. So we're going to go ahead and go to a break, and it's going to be the last break of today. If you have a question, thank you as well to our caller for calling in and asking your question. It's very valuable to us. And we encourage it. So if you have a question and you want to call it in on Guam, you can always call us at 671-472-1111. That's 671-472-1111. In the CNMI, call us at 670-389-3999. 670-323-1113. That's 670-323-1113. Also, you can send us a message via text or WhatsApp at 671-686-9999. That's 671-686-9999. It's free from the CNMI. We're also on Facebook. If you're watching us live, go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section below, and we'll get back to you. Don't go anywhere. Total Health Live will be right back after the break.
We've seen what's happened to the disappearing rainforests, and each day more species become extinct. But there's another endangered species that you may not be aware of. The human soul is in danger of becoming extinct forever. That's due to a kind of insidious pollution environmentalists are ignoring. It's sin and immorality. It's toxic to the existence of the human soul, and yet traces of it have been found all over the planet. Because of it, the human soul is in danger of extinction. Environmental groups like Greenpeace ignore it, being concerned with other less serious forms of pollution. The answer to pollution of the soul is not Greenpeace. It's the Prince of Peace, Jesus Christ. Rather than cleaning up the world's environment, Jesus cleans the toxins from your soul. And while you have to live in a polluted world, you learn to avoid its contaminating pollutants. The human soul, the most endangered species. Jesus Christ, the only solution to soul pollution.
From Joy FM.
And we're back with more Total Health. Give us a call with your medical questions. Number to call in Guam is 472-1111. If you're in the CNMI, the number to call is 323-1113. Or you can text or WhatsApp us at 686-9999. Now back to the program.
Hi, and welcome back to Total Health Live. We've only got a few minutes left, so we'll just jump right back in.
Yes, Rosie, we were talking about the 4 laws of leadership, or the 4 rules in Mount Everest climbing. If you have a big dream, how you can implement it, break it down into small steps and start doing them one by one. But teamwork is just so incredibly important. I remember the last time we had to climb, it's called Gondogoro Pass. It's a very high pass in the Karakoram range, and we had to climb it at night. Because if you do it during the day, the snow melts and becomes like ice, and you can fall down because you're going so steep. You can literally slide down. And as we were doing it at night, we had to be with the ropes, and go with we had to have our flashlight in order to do it. And as we were walking, I would just look down. I was like, "Oh wow, that was a crevice. I could have fallen down." And during one of those times, one of our guides fell into a crevice. And he was the last one, so we didn't see it. He was behind us, and so we didn't see it. He completely disappeared. He just fell into that crevice. And one of our team members apparently was behind him. He is a physician. He works in Guam. And as he was climbing, he looked at him and said, "Hey, do you want to be there?" He said, "No, get me out of the crevice." And so he was smart enough to know how to pull him out, because, he could have ended up inside of the crevice himself. But he put his rucksack behind a rock, and then he held the strap of the rucksack. He stretched his stick, and he was able to pull the other person. And then he didn't tell anybody, because he's not a prideful person. And when we learned that he saved his life, we said, "Hey, Dr. So-and-so, you didn't tell us you saved the life of our guide." And he said, "Oh, I save lives every day. I don't think I have to tell people," which I believe is incredible, because the moment you become confident, this is where you can stumble. And when you get on the top, you don't stay for long there. You get on the top, enjoy it, be happy, praise the Lord, be proud of yourself if you want to, but then get another dream, get into something that, meaningful, that you can make more impact, not only for yourself. Okay, now I climbed this mountain, well, this is like a personal growth, but how can I help other people grow? It is incredible that one team of 16 people helped a blind man to climb Mount Everest. You see, okay, what's the purpose of that? That was his dream. That was his dream, and he had to go through big crevices. In a way, it was good that he couldn't see how high of the, he had to walk through a ladder over like big, depths, and he did it. That was a whole team. And when you grow up, when you get to the top, get others with you. And the last rule of Mount Everest is in order to go up, you need to give up. Many times we think you just grab everything with yourself and you just get to the top. No, not in those circumstances. You have to give up something. You maybe have to give up your comfort. It wasn't easy. In the K2, 18 days in tents, 20 degrees Fahrenheit. At night, sleeping in tents, uncomfortable surface. when I'm telling you, when I came back after this trip, I could not believe I appreciated my bed 1,000 times. I hugged my bed. I turned around. I was in love with my bed. It was something like I have been craving for days. And I couldn't wake up. My nurse had to wake me up, say, hey, there are so many patients waiting for you. I was sleeping. I couldn't even leave my bed. It is incredible. The comfort we're having, it's incredible. And maybe that's why I like doing it, because once a year when I do those challenging trips, then the rest of the year sounds good. Sometimes I complain for things, and people say, you're the one that did so and so, and now you're complaining about small things. Yeah, it's kind of refreshing that a human is a human at the end of the day, but it is important to build that endurance and that resilience. Many times we say, God, how much can you stretch me? How much you can, keep me, giving me more and more burden. It's one thing to be challenged to achieve great things. It's another thing to keep on surviving on a daily basis. It is challenging, on its own. But I learned one quote from Oswald Chambers that really stuck up with me, that when God uses you, he uses you as a bow and an arrow. He will just grab it and he will stretch it. 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 To the point that the saint will say, but Lord, how much more? How much more you want from me? And it seems that God does not pay attention to you. He keeps on stretching and stretching and stretching because he has the target, at his side. And at that moment, he let the arrow fly. God is going to stretch you until he can use you. And you're going to go through more challenging. And the more God uses you, the more he's going to stretch you. There is a quote from Charles Spurgeon that says, whatever wants to shine needs to burn first. If you need to give light, you need to go through that. Some of those are self-inflicting. Some of those are like military training, in which you really need to train yourself in order to grow, in order to do those special missions that God is calling you. It does require much more from you. But you can do things that other people might not be able to do. And everybody is created in a way that you can do things that other people will not be able to do. Whatever your dream, whatever God has put in you, please develop it. But in order for you to go up, you need to give up. In order for Jesus to have the opportunity to have the whole world to be saved, he had to come down from heaven. He had to suffer a terrible death. But now, as he overcame, and one day when all the redeemed will be saved, you'll have the greatest joy. Many times we need to go through the cross of Calvary. Our life is not going to be just the Garden of Eden. It's going to be also the path to Gethsemane and the cross on the Calvary. In order to go up, you need to grow up, get up, gather up, and give up. There is no way around. After that, after K2 last year, I was able to visit Mount Sinai. And that's an incredible place.
I remember that, yeah.
It is an incredible place. And I have to tell you, how difficult it is to climb Mount Sinai. It didn't look as difficult to me because I was just coming from K2. But it's not an easy thing. And Moses and, the other at that time, Israelites, they were very fit. They said that Moses was climbing this high mountain that it took me 2 hours to climb it, and I was all the time saying, "Well, was it a good idea for me to do it?" When I was climbing up and coming down at the path that he was coming down from Mount Sinai, he was carrying the the plates of stone, the 10 Commandments. He was very fit. Even they said Caleb, he was so fit that he said, "I'm now 70, but I feel like I can do it. Like when I was 15, 16, I can still go up and down the mountain." Those people, Israelites, were very fit. And it does require us to go on, to continue on, to carry on. It does require to be healthy. Many of us, we kind of shorten our lifespan because of some choices we make. But that's not ideal. God wants us to carry on. If God gives us, 100 years of age, or whatever it is given, get it all. Get it all. There is so much you can do in this life. There is so much you can bless the other with, and we are so much blessed in so many other ways to be able to bless others. I have many Bible verses that the Bible talks about climbing mountains. It does certainly want you at times to kind of have this community time with the Lord, in which you can think and challenge yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, and come close to God. For some reason, I feel when I'm high on those mountains, I'm this is the closest I could be to God. Although God is everywhere, God it is in my heart as well. But I have so many favorite verses when it comes to the Bible. One of them that I really like is when it says, "How beautiful are the feet of those that proclaim the message, that walk on the mountains." And I want to be one of those people. I want wherever I go to be able to be a blessing to others. When I was in Karakoram range, most of our Sherpa guys that were with us, they were Muslims, and they didn't speak English, so it was very difficult for me to communicate or be a blessing to them. And plus, I was a woman, but I could not even, come close to them. And they were very sick. Some of them started coming and say, "Hey, can you help me? I have this health problem. I have this health problem." But I couldn't touch them because I'm not their wife and I'm a woman. And so I had to ask somebody else to touch them, to tell me what they feel, so I can figure out what exactly was wrong with them. But I treated them with a lot of respect, and many of them lost their toenails, and they had some issues coming down. And when they were the few of the last days, they came to me and they said, "Can you help us?" I said, "Well, if you want me to help you, I have to touch." And they said, "You have they said, "You have the right to touch us." I kind of gained their, permission. And I told them, I just want to tell you that I love you, even though I'm a Christian. And they said, "We love you too." As a last, moment, the time went so quickly. I just want to read a poem that goes this way. Sir Edmund Hillary first achieved for century unattained the summit of Earth's highest peak, and what did he there gain? So many corpses lingered there of those arrived or no, to strike a pose atop the world, then turn and back down go. O climbers lose, if they're not lives, their mind at least are numbered, most simply fail to reach the top by tragedies overcome. Yet on and on the climbers come. The challenge must be taken, for God has placed Mount Everest there, so low, so far below his throne, that never will be shaken. One day the Lord will come, and we shall be waiting for him. They said when the new kingdom comes, it will be placed on a mountain. We don't know which mountain will be there, but Mount Everest is there. It will never grow. We might be defeated by the idea or the dream of Mount Everest, but we have the challenge and the possibility to grow every day with the Lord, and we can overcome even greater and bigger things than the Everest itself.
Thank you, Elena. And thank you also to all of our listeners. You've been listening to Total Health Live. Come back again next week, Wednesday, from 5 to 6 p.m. for more Total Health Live. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Be sure to check with your doctors before making any sudden life changes discussed today. Total Health is brought to you in partnership with Guam Seventh-day Adventist Clinic, where health is their mission. We look forward to seeing you next Wednesday. Thank you and Sijuas Masi for listening to Total Health right here on Joy FM.
Listening to KSDA 91.9 FM, Agate and Agania Heights, Guam, and KORU 89.9 FM, Garapan, Saipan. The time is now 6 o'clock.